Now, for the mindset part, I just like to split the two things, right? Confidence and discipline. You need the confidence to execute your trades without hesitation, reservation, or fear. That's very important. And how do you gain that confidence? It only comes from competence. When you have a proven edge that actually works, you have back tested it, you have forward tested it, you have tried it on your live account, then we know that it works. Yeah, so once again, actually go through this, inside the systems and processes module, we talk about how to backtest, forward test, everything. Yeah, so that is how you gain confidence. Like I said, you will not get confidence by shouting affirmations in the mirror, or even by reading the Alchemy Yourself 2.0, right? You will not get confidence by reading, oh, I'm a professional trader, oh, I can make money, trading is easy. It doesn't work that way. You need to put in the work, and that's how you really build confidence. Next is discipline. As for discipline, I like to split it into 3 ways. Discipline is important, not just when you are trading, but before you trade, during your trade, and after you trade. So before you trade, you need the discipline to go through your trading plan, right? Go through rule by rule, and then you also need the discipline to actually create the trading plan in the first place, or even decide which trading session to trade and stick to it. And then when you are trading, you need the discipline, or rather the patience, to wait for price to get to your point of interest, your supply and demand zone, wait for price to sweep liquidity, right? To tell you some sort of signs that the smart money, the financial institutions have entered into the market. Very important. So yeah, and after you trade, the discipline to journal your trades, right? Journal your trade, review and record your trading data, find out what works, what doesn't work. So these are the 4 main things, right? Like I said, you need to have every one of these. If you don't have any one of these, don't try to get funded. All right, don't try. It's just you wasting your refundable fee, and it's not cheap, right? You know, let's be honest, $600 is not cheap. For me, I failed like 4 funded accounts in my first 2 years before I finally passed one. Yeah, and then once I passed that one, I lost it like within 1 month. Yeah, so funding challenges, it's not easy, right? By no shape or form is it easy. It's very difficult, honestly. Yeah, but like I said, if you follow this blueprint, it will work. Okay, next is tips and tricks to achieve funding. Now, here's just some tips. Like I said, purchase a funding account with a refundable fee that you can afford to lose. So, like I said, man, if you cannot afford to lose $600, maybe try to get a 10K account, or even a 20K or a 50K account, right? Which costs like, I don't know, a few hundred or less than $100. Yeah, and only take high probability setups and always look for confirmation. So let's say price is going up like this. And then, first things first, identify what phase of the market is in, right? Is it in a pullback phase or is it in a continuation phase? So after a break of structure, we know that price will start pulling back. We don't know where exactly, but we know it's going to happen soon. And what I like to do is just look towards the left side of the chart, see if there's any unmitigated supply or demand zone. Okay, once we see price entering into the zone, anticipate, not really anticipate, but kind of like know that price could potentially pull back soon. Okay, so now we know that price is in a pullback phase, right? So like I said, it's very simple. It's either in the continuation phase or the pullback phase, or it's just like a consolidation where price is going sideways, right? There is no alternative. It can't fly, it can't do anything else. It's just up, down, sideways. That's it, right? Identify the trend direction, mark up your market structure, do a top-down analysis, mark up your point of interest. The next step is to just wait for price to get to your point of interest, right? Depending on what type of trader you are. Are you a scalper? If you're a scalper, then in that case, you will be analyzing the charts on the 4-hour, the 4-hour and the 1 hour, and you will be marking out your point of interest on the 15-minute or even the 5-minute. And then you wait for price to get to your 5-minute or 15-minute point of interest. And then go down to 1 minute to execute your trades. Basically, once you mark out your point of interest, you just wait for price to get to your point of interest. That's my plan, right? So for me, I'm mixed between intraday and swing trading, right? So I'll just mark out my point of interest on the 4-hour, the daily, and even the 1 hour time frame. And then I'll set alerts, right? You know, TradingView got a function to actually set alerts at what price point you want price to go to, and then you will trigger the alert, right? And then it will send you a notification in SMS or email. Yeah. So set alert at a point of interest and do nothing. Do nothing. Go about your day. Go gym, go interact with your family. You must understand that why do you start trading in the first place? It's for freedom. You are not here to stare at the charts all the day. I mean, you can do that, but I believe Sanjeev will know that it's disastrous to do that. You make money in the Asian session, you give back the profits that you make in the London session, and then New York session, you lose even more money. So it's about finding the sweet spot, right? So like I said, I always preach that just focus on one trading session, be it London, New York, or Asian. Yeah, so once price get to the point of interest, TradingView send me an alert. Okay, cool, Brett, go and analyze the charts. All right, cool. It's usually around London session, I'll get the alert, right? If it doesn't happen, if I don't see my trading opportunity during the London session, I don't trade. Yeah, I don't trade. What if, price doesn't reach your point of interest during the London session and it reaches during your New York session? Cool, you can take the trade. But for me personally, I don't do it because I like to stick to my plan. And another thing is, like I said, you just need data. If you have the data to actually back up that, okay, London session and New York session both works fine for you, then you can do that. Like, I can say, okay, yeah, just take the trade in London session, but doesn't make sense for a swing trader. You're a swing trader, depending on what time of the day, maybe the price goes in the point of interest in the Asian session. It'll be kind of stupid to not take the trade as well. If it works for you, right? Yeah, like you're taking a swing trading approach, price doesn't really go to your point of interest in the London session, even though your plan says that you should trade the London session. I will advise you, why not trade both or do what you do. Basically, wherever price gets to your point of interest, you enter the trade. Do that for 1 month. Build the data. Right? Once you got the data to actually back up that, okay, that actually works, then yeah, stick to it by all means. Yeah, because the thing is, everybody's trading approach is different, right? There's no one size fits all when it comes to trading. Once price gets to your point of interest, your alert sets off. What next? You look for your entry model on the lower time frames, be it the 15-minute or the 5-minute or the 1-minute, whatever time frame that you're entering the trade on. Look for entry model. For me, this is where I get my confirmation. Now, remember, once price gets to my point of interest, I don't want to enter yet, because there is a chance that it is not a high probability point of interest, and there's a high chance that it might fail. Price will just blast right through it. So that is when you guys learn about risk entry and confirmation entry. Risk entry is you place your limit or order at the point of interest. Once price steps into that, you are inside the trade. Confirmation entry is you wait for price to get to the point of interest, and then you still wait for your entry model to form before you actually get in for the trade. Confirmation entry will always give you a much higher win rate, because you get the extra confirmation. Yeah, so as for the confirmation, once price gets to a point of interest, you look for an entry model. There is 3 confirmation I'm looking for. First things first, market shift. Market shift is goddamn important. I can't emphasize how important it is, because it shows you that there is a shift in order flow of the market. Whether price is going from bullish to bearish, or whether demand have stepped into the market, or supply is still overpowering the market. Market shift. Second thing, liquidity. I need to see some sort of liquidity sweep. And when does liquidity sweep usually happens? Either the London Q zone or the New York Q zone, either of these Q zones. Yeah, so that is when you are able to find the most amount of trading opportunity, especially if you're scalping. Yeah, so those are the 2 main confirmation. For now, it's just liquidity and market shift. And as for the entry model, I believe you guys have seen the 6 entry model, right? That's like the flip zone, the flip plus sweep zone, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna bore you guys with the details. Okay, so yeah, that is what I mean when I say high probability setup. High probability setup is basically a setup that aligns with your trading plan. And for me, I sometimes like to add the extra criteria where I have to look for confirmation. Next is fully accept and embrace the loss or risk, including the challenge fee. What does it mean to fully accept and embrace the loss? I believe Sanjeev talked about that a lot just now. Yeah, you gotta fully accept it. No, it's not just about knowing that losses are good. It's about really accepting the fact that you will suffer losses. It is inevitable. Even professional traders, hedge funds, they still go through losing streaks. They have down months, they have down quarter. It is completely normal. It's really what you do during this losing streak. Because the hard part about losing is that when you lose, you're not just losing your own capital. You are losing a little bit of your confidence to execute the trade. That is why after you lose a bunch of trades, the next trade you see that lines up with your trading plan, you don't take it because you feel like this fear, this hesitation, The solution is very simple. Every single trade idea is not related. If you flip a coin, you will never ever know whether it's going to land on heads or tails, right? You never ever know the sequence of the trade outcome, whether the next one is going to be a win or next one is going to be a loss. So what you can do is to just execute your plan. And if you have back tested it, you have like a solid win rate, right? Like 70, maybe not 7%, but like 30% to like 70% or 80%, that's good enough, right? You know that you will be profitable in the long run. So that is where you really fully accept and embrace the loss and the risk, because you know that every single loss takes you much closer to a win. Next is journal every single trade, both loss and win. Yeah, just journal. Honestly, just journal. Like I said, it's really building the data. And just think about how good it will be 3 years down the road. You look back on your trading journal and you see like the stupid beginner mistakes that you committed 3 years ago. it's a gorgeous feeling, right? Sometimes when I look back at my trading journal, I see notes from like 2021, 2020, and it's me like over trading, revenge trading, and emotion trading, and all the stupid beginner mistakes. And I just look back and just appreciate how far I've came. Because like right now, I know that I don't feel these emotions anymore. And that's the thing about emotions. You start to get numb to them when you have been trading for so long. You start to get desensitized to the numbers, the profits, and the loss that you see on the screen. Okay, cool. If not, we can get back to the funded strategy. I've drawn a little diagram right here. Now, what this diagram shows is that, okay, right now this is where it starts, right? If you join a prop firm, you want to get funded with 100K, 200K, whatever it is. First phase is usually the funding phase. Yeah, funding phase. And then next one is the verification phase or something. Yeah, but anyways, first phase, you are required to reach a profit target of 10%, right? Which means you need to make 10%. And right now there is an unlimited amount of time for you guys to reach that profit target. Back then, we didn't have that privilege. We have to reach 10% in 30 days. Yeah, that was at quite a few years ago. Yeah, so 10% unlimited time, right? The key point is unlimited time. That means you don't need to rush, right? Be very patient, wait for price to reach your point of interest, execute. Okay, so this is the strategy. In order to reach the 10%, like I said, it's not easy, right? It's very difficult to actually reach 10%. But like what I said in self-transcendence, your paradigm literally dictates everything, right? If you think it is difficult, it's gonna be difficult. If you think that trading is a scam, you're gonna self-sabotage yourself. If you think that trading is easy, you'll put in the effort to actually do it and learn and master the craft. So it's all about the paradigm. Like I always say, your belief leads to your actions, and your actions lead to your reality. Yeah, so paradigm very important, but most important is really the strategy. So for this funded strategy that you will learn, it doesn't require you to have a high win rate. You don't need to have like a 80% win rate or 90% win rate. You just need like a 30 to 40% win rate, right? Which means out of 10 trades in a row, you're winning about 3 to 4 trades. You don't need high win rate. So it's very doable for each and every one of us here. So the minimum of R multiple on each trade is 1:3. I would actually recommend you guys to strive for at least 1:3, but aim for 1:5. I'll always aim for 1:5 risk to reward. Never settle for 1:3. But this is really the bare minimum, right? Like if you have no choice, 1:3 is the bare minimum. Very simple, right? We do this because we always want to ensure that we are getting back 3 times more, 4 times more, or 5 times more on what we are risking. So first things first, you have your strategy nailed down. Like I said, before you get funded, make sure you test your edge and really make sure that you have a proven edge before you even try to get funded. But once you got that sorted out, next is the risk management. Once again, this is where majority of traders fail, right? They are not able to nail this part down right. So this is where I want you guys to risk 1% until balance gets to 98K or 105K. Okay, there's a rationale behind this. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. Like I said just now, we will suffer losses. It's part of the game. You cannot avoid it. You will suffer losses. Let's say the first trade that you take, you're unlucky. Or maybe you were disciplined. You execute your trade, but you still suffer some form of losses. So you lost the first trade. All right, cool. So you're down 1% on the first trade that you take. Okay, cool. Do you give up? No. It's part of the process. We have learned that, right? So what happens next is that, let's say you still are going through a slump, like a losing streak or something. You lose another 1%. Okay, now remember, every time you lose, it's harder to get back to break even. It's always going to be harder to get back to break even. Okay, so you lose 1%, you lose another percent. Okay, cool. Now we are at 98K. Now we have lost 2% of our trading account. This is where you start to de-risk. You decrease your risk from 1% to 0.5%. Now, the reason why we do this is very simple. Remember, this is your room to breathe, right? This is essentially the amount of bullets you have. If you risk 1% per trade, you have 10 bullets before you get out of the challenge. So once we get down to 98K, right, let's just put this negative 2% right there. Start to de-risk, right? Start to de-risk and drop your risk down to 0.5%. So instead of risking 1% per trade, you risk 0.5% on each trade. Okay, cool, 0.5%. Next trade, bam, you still lose it, right? You seem to be going through this slump, you don't really know what you're doing. It's okay, it's okay. We can recover back from this because right now you're only down negative 2.5%, right? And it's recoverable, right? Negative 2.5%, we can recover it with just one trade with a 1:3R. This is why we do what we do. With just one trade, you're able to get back to break even and actually get a little bit of profit, 0.5%. So, I believe if you use our trading strategy, you have lost 3 trades in a row, you are most likely gonna be more cautious on the setups that you take, and you start taking high probability setups, right? You finally start to get your shit together and start taking high probability setups. As a result, the next trade, you risk 0.5% because we have de-risk, remember, we have de-risk. So you win the next trade. Okay, you win the next trade, so that's about 0.5%, and it's 1:3. Yeah, it's 1:3, so it's 1.5%. So right now you make about 1.5%. You went from negative 2.5 to negative 1. What do you do right now? Right now the balance is 99K. You go back to risking 1%. Because as long as it gets below 98K, you de-risk. But right now we are back to 99%, so you can risk 1%. Let's say for some reason you risk 1% here, it doesn't work out. You lost this rate, right? So negative 1%, now you're back to negative 2%. Okay, it's cool. You're back to square one, right? You're back to negative 98K. Same thing. Continue to de-risk. Back to 0.5%. Right? So we're back to 0.5%. Let's say we want the next trade. Okay, this is like a hypothetical scenario. I think this is a very realistic scenario because you're not going to win every trade, but you're also not going to lose every single trade. Like any guy can just click the buy or sell button and start winning a bunch of trades. Yeah, you don't even need to have a trading strategy. That's just how mind-blowing trading is, right? So let's say, like I said, you have a solid trading strategy and you decide to win the next trade. So right now we are at negative 98K, risking about 0.5%, and we get back to 99K. Okay, cool. Get back to 99K, and now you start gaining your confidence, your motivation, your ability, your morale back. Okay, cool. At this point of time, right, you have to take 5 trades. Let's look at the win rate of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we take 6 trades. What is the win rate? Okay, we lost 1, we lost another 1, we lost 3, we lost 1, 2, 3, and then we won 1, and then we lost 1, and we won another 1. So we won 2 trades. Yeah, and then we lost 4. Like I said, 33% win rate, right? That's what we are aiming for anyways. Next trade, you win next trade. So, like I said, back to 99K, you are risking 1% right now. So we make about 3%. Okay, 1%. Okay, so you're at 102K, so about 2% right there. Okay, cool. So right now you're at 102K. You're up 2%, but you cannot increase risk rate yet because, like I said, only increase risk once you reach 105K. Okay, once again, next trade, let's say you're on a roll, you win the next trade. Okay, cool. Right now we are at the 5% mark. Now, okay, this can happen in a lot of ways, right? You can lose the next trade and then go back down, but just stick to the plan. Like literally, once price get below 98K, de-risk. If not, just continue risking 1% until you reach about 5%. Okay, so let's say the next trade you got lucky and you win the next one. 2%, you make about another additional 3% because you get a 1:3 risk to reward, right? And now you're at 5%. Okay, now you're up 5%, but the profit target is 10%. In the first phase, it's 10%, the verification phase is 5%. If you are in the verification phase, congratulations, you are funded. But you are in the first phase, which means you need the 10%, right? So now, to make your life simple, this is where you can start increasing your risk from 1% to 2%. And I put here, optional. It's completely optional. It's really up to your risk tolerance. If you want to do this, you're feeling a bit of risky, you're feeling a little bit of adventurous, do it. Right? I will actually recommend you to do it because what happens when you increase your risk to 2%? You win the next trade. You pass the challenge. You pass the challenge just like this. That's why I always say, you're one trade away. You're just one trade away from winning the trade. Yeah, okay, once again, this is something optional, right? If you don't increase your risk, let's say, you don't have to, by the way, right? Like, you continue risking 1% and you make about 3% on the next trade, right? And this is if you are just getting 3R on each trade. I believe you can get 5R, 10R. We see some people got 1:50R. I can't do it either. For me, it's like I need to gain it out. For me, the max is like 10R. Yeah, so we get back to this. Let's say, like I said, you don't follow this. You just continue risking 1%, so you cover this. You just continue risking 1%. Okay, it might take you a little bit longer, but like I said, what if you get 5R? What if you get 5R in the next trade? Like I said, you aim for 5R, right? you pass the challenge as well, right? You risk 1%, you make 5%. So yeah, I'll leave it up to you, optional, but I will actually recommend you to do it because it makes your life much more easier. Cool, so that's for the first phase. That's the 10%, right? The first one. The next one is 5%. Dude, the next one is 5%. So use the exact same strategy. You don't deviate from your plan works, just stick to it. The verification phase is the same thing, right? It's just that it's the exact same rules. It's just that the profit target is 5%. Yeah, so I'm not gonna go through it again, but yeah, you get the gist of it. Just stick to the plan.